reality really kicked in that I am completely homeless.
I experienced oral molestation from my mother's husband.
So I was really angry with God. I've been raped as a kid. You made me born deaf.
I went through drugs, prostitution, and I go to this room with this guy and I can hear people in the bathroom. And I was tied up. Every orifice of my body was touched.
Mommy's not responsive. She's not breathing. She's cold. I said, call 911. I'm coming home.
Okay, hello, Miss Diedre Dominguez. I am so excited to have you in the studio on today. Thank you for being a part of this show. Today, we're going to be discussing the loss or losing a mother at a young age. So, we're going to talk about that today. And I thank you for being willing to share your story. Before we get into that, tell me, what was your mom like? What was like a everyday life with your mom growing up?
She was loving, caring. She was the type of mom that took us out every weekend to like Circus Playhouse, to just everywhere, Toys R Us, and then she'll buy us like dolls every weekend. She used to come get our friends, bring them over to spend a night. So she was just like, just real close with us. My dad worked 3 jobs, so she was like our mom and dad for a long time.
Okay. How many siblings do you have?
2.
Two.
Well, 3, but my brother is like a lot older than us.
Okay. And where do you fit in? Are you the baby? Are you the oldest? Like, where do you
My
fit
brother is the oldest. He's in his 60s. I'm
Okay.
46. And then my other 2 sisters are younger than me. So
Okay. And what did your mom do? Like, her occupation? If you can paint a picture of who she was. Of course, we know she was beautiful. So, who was your mom, and how did she impact the people that was in her life?
she was a school teacher for 15 years. She taught middle school. And then when she left middle school, she taught at Colt Center North, which is a school for pregnant girls. She taught at a high school. And she was loved by a lot of her students. She loved to read. She bought like over 400 books. And she used to bring her kids home to feed them after school. Like sometimes she'll have like brownies baking and I'll come in there and I want one. She'll know that's for my kids. So
Okay.
she used to bring her kids home. She used to bring them home, and because it was a school for the pregnant girls, a lot of them had children. So she would have diapers and stuff that she would buy for the kids.
So she was everybody's mama, pretty much. Pretty much. Now, leading up to her getting ill, do you remember the day that she told you that she was ill? What was that day, and what was you feeling at that
She
moment?
never told me.
You never knew about it.
No, she told my grandmother knew that she had breast cancer, and my grandmother told me that my mom had breast cancer, and I cried. And then after she told me that my mom had breast cancer, she had a double mastectomy, so she had both of her breasts removed, and then she did her chemotherapy. She lost all of her hair. My dad bought her like $1,000 wig. It was a beautiful wig, and she'll wear that wig, but she was still sad because of all her hair. So she just continued to fight it. And then finally she went to the doctor and they told her that the cancer was gone. They had gotten all of it. But then she went into remission. It came back. And this time it spread it more aggressively throughout her entire body. And then that's the part I didn't know about.
Tell me, walk us through the day that you received a phone call that your mom was in distress or your mom passed away? Walk us through that.
Okay, so I was taking my son to school, and I was with her the night before. The night before, I was with her, and I held her hand, and me and my cousin, we prayed over her, and then I left. I said I'm coming back tomorrow morning, but I had to go to work. Something told me don't go to work. I was on my way there, and then I was gonna come by and see her after work. But before, I think it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, I was dropping my son off to school, and I was talking to his teacher, and then my grandmother called me screaming and crying, and she told me that my mom, had passed away.
So you was in a car at that moment?
No, I was standing outside my son's school, and I was talking with his teacher, and at that moment, my grandmother called me screaming and crying. She sounded hysterical, and she told me that my mom had died.
So at that very moment, for someone that is experiencing this or have experienced this, what was your thoughts at that very, very moment when your grandmother told you?
I was I think I went into a shock. It was more like a shocking. It really didn't. I didn't cry at that moment because I was more in a denial phase where it was more of denial to me, and I couldn't see my mom dead. Like it was like a denial thing. And then I didn't. My sister was at the hospital with her when it happened. My sister told me she closed her eyes and everything, but I couldn't be there. And then I guess I just kept going into a denial, and I was going through other stuff at the time with my husband, so it was even worse.
So at this moment, you're dealing with your own personal issues with your marriage. You're dealing with the loss of your mom. What happened to, like, what took a turn in your life after that point? What type of space you was in? I know that you was broken, but what happened? Do you feel like you was cheated? Was you angry? Was you,
Yeah,
what
I
your
was very, very upset. It got to the point where I didn't even believe in God anymore, like for a little while. And I was very hurt, confused. I felt like I was so young. Like I felt like my mom, she was raising my son. My son was 5. She raised him up until the age of 5. So I didn't know how to explain it to him, you know, and it was just a very confusing and frustrating point in my life. I didn't even cry at her funeral. I didn't even cry. I never shed a tear.
So when was your breaking moment?
My breaking moment, I think, was I think it was like 5 years later. Every year on the 18th, something always happens. Like I got in a bad car accident, and a lady ran into my car, and she threw my car like across the street. And luckily, my son was not in the car with me that day.
Wow.
Because the door flew open, everything, and then after that, when I got to work, because I went to work that same day.
Okay. So you went to work after the car accident?
I went to work, and then when I got in the elevator broke down.
Are
While I
you
was in the elevator.
Wow. So the car accident, then the elevator.
Yeah.
All on the same day your mom passed.
Every year on the 18th, something happened until recently. In 2013, I got married on October the 17th.
Okay.
Which it overshadowed that date for a long time. It still hurt on the 18th.
Right.
But on the
So
17th,
when you finally broke, and apparently you broke at work, correct?
yes, I did. I had a nervous breakdown. And I ended up having to do a medical leave because I was screaming at work.
So you pretty much suppressed all of that hurt, that pain, that trauma for like 5 years pretty much just going through life, going through the motions, just existing, and it just hit you at one time. As a woman today, a mature woman, how does that affect you? Are you still impacted? And of course, losing your mom is something you never get over, but do you feel like your life is missing something, or you miss some things with you losing your mom so young? Where how have you been able to navigate from that 20-year-old Diedre to now
It gets
today?
harder. It gets harder as I get older. Like, it doesn't get any better. It gets hard. It gets worse.
Okay.
I thought by now I would be healed, but it gets worse. It's like, why it gets so bad that sometimes I feel like I need counseling. It gets worse every year, because every year, it's been almost 20 years now that I see my mom. And my mom has missed a lot of events in my life. She's missed a lot of events.
Right. Right.
And then, like I said, the only thing that overshadowed it was my marriage. And then my husband died in 2017, which took a lot out of me too. So
Okay.
between both of those, it snatched everything out of me.
Wow. Let's talk about that briefly. Not to dwell on that, because I know, we're talking about your mom, but losing your husband and you lost your mom, those are two key significant people in your life. How were you able to cope? Like, what did you do to keep it together?
Um, Family, friends, and the person I'm with now, he's been my friend since I was 16, so he helped me through a lot of that too. But that was extremely traumatic for me.
Okay.
I was traumatized.
Now, as far as your children, how does all of this loss, how has that affect your own child?
Greatly.
Greatly.
Yeah, my child he has mental issues because of my mom's death. Because
Your
of
mom raised him,
my
correct?
mom raised him. That was her
Okay.
baby. So, and then on top of that, while I was going through it with my mom, my whole marriage was in shambles, and I was going through an abusive marriage. So all of that weighed heavy on me.
Okay, so your first husband you had the domestic violence issues with that. How young you was when you first got married?
21.
21 years old. Okay. So your son right now, he pretty much has bottled up, the loss, the grief, all of these different things. How does that make you feel, knowing that, you went through all of those things and he's kind of stuck in the situation? How is that affecting you?
It hurts because my son. I believe my son's life would have been different now had my mom been here. She wouldn't have allowed a lot of the things that to take place. Like right now, I really need her right now. Like my son and I, we aren't even speaking right now. And if my mom was here, that wouldn't even happen. And that's the part I'm really struggling with. It hurts. I cry about it every night, and it weighs heavy on me. It's a big hurtful feeling when you can't talk to your child. It's
So,
hurtful.
so I'm looking at a beautiful woman that have lost a mom, you lost your second husband, and now you don't have that relationship, with your son. From moving forward from today, what can Diedre do to make Diedre stronger every day moving forward from here?
Um,
Some of the things that you can do to strengthen yourself.
I've been dealing with it through prayer, and I have a lot of talks with God in the morning when I wake up, So I'm more spiritual than what I used to be.
Okay.
I also, I've never been the type of person to feel sorry for myself or anything. I've always been a pretty strong person, no matter what. For some reason, no matter what life has dealt me, I've been able to deal with it, and that's just the kind of person I am. And I don't think that's going to ever change.
Right.
I think anything, and I noticed that about myself when my husband died, because a lot of stuff that I went through and a lot of things that I was able to push forward with, I think a lot of people would have just not been able to handle it.
Exactly. Um, I'm gonna ask you a question. It might be a little difficult, but if your son was to pick up the phone or to run across this video, what would you like him to know? What would you tell him today?
I really love you, and no matter what, I will always love you, and I will always have your back. I'm gonna always be there.
And I pray that he sees this video, because at the end of the day, regardless of what we go through in life, it's your child. Good, bad, happy, sad, that's your baby, you know, and to go through all of those different things that you have experienced, the loss of a mother, the loss of a husband, dealing with the things that you're dealing with your son. I would say to you, Diedre, you're a strong woman and you're a beautiful person. And I would say that there's no mistakes. Sometimes we look at life and we say, okay, why me? But sometimes we go through things for other people, and there's someone that's watching this video right now that is experiencing what you experience, and you're helping them right now, so they know that through all of that hurt and pain, there is life. You can still live on. Let me ask you one question. If you was to talk to someone today that was in your same exact shoe, a young lady that lost her mom at the age of, what, you was 27, correct?
29.
29 years old. Um, a 29-year-old, what would you tell her now if she was experiencing what you experienced at 29? What would you tell her
I
today?
would I would tell her to stay close to God, because that's the only thing that I believe helped me. And I would also, tell her to stay close to family and to always push forward in the memory of her mother, because everything I've done, everything that I do it thinking that, my mom is going to be proud of me. I
Exactly.
know she's proud of me. So
Exactly.
everything I've done up until the point when she's died, it's like I pretend like she's still there, and then I pretend like she's watching me.
Yes, what she is,
Yeah.
what she is, what she is. Now, for a woman that have lost a husband, what would you tell her today?
To live your best life, because life goes on.
Hmm.
I cried myself. I went through, I think that's a greater hurt almost than losing my mom, because um I went through something awful. I was taking his shoes and clothes to work, and my supervisor insisted that I get help. That's when I knew something was wrong. I knew
Wow.
something was wrong now. I couldn't put on my clothes. I couldn't. I never felt in my life like I wanted to die. I wanted to die. I did not want to live when that happened. It's just the most painful, the most awful, the most agonizing experience anybody could ever go through, to lose a spouse. And I had extensive counseling. I went to see a psychiatrist, and she helped me throughout the process. And it really helped seeing a psychiatrist. It helped so much. It helped so much that I was able to actually date again.
Okay.
And that is how I was able to move forward, because I was just in a different space. Like everything going, it's like stuff going on around me was like unreal.
Right.
I
Just
had,
going through the motions.
I sold my house, and I the money that I got from my house, I was just giving it away. I was like, here, you can have some. I was just giving money away.
Wow.
I was giving my coworkers like $400-$500. I mean, I was sick. I was sick. And I
Yeah.
didn't even know I was sick until the psychiatrist told me I was sick.
Yeah.
And it was just to the point that I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to talk. I felt like I was in a dark place, like a dark place. A dark place. And then one night I was just laying down, and I got this inbox on Facebook. It was my boyfriend Damon. And he inboxed me as a friend. He said, "What you doing?" I said, "Nothing." We just started talking, and every day he helped me, helped me, helped me, helped me.
Okay.
And that's where I am now. But it took a long time. It's not something that take, and it's not something that you plan on happening. It's just something that just happened.
Just happens.
It
Right.
just happened, and it just takes. It's just a horrible, awful nagging. Even to this day, I feel like I have mental issues because of that. And I just, like I said, I'm the type of person that just kind of keep pushing forward, and I just have to keep moving forward. But it's crazy, because for a long time I even felt like he was like in the house with me, in the room with me. It's weird feelings, like cried at work, cried in the car, cried on holidays. I'm better now. I'm stronger.
Okay.
I'm much better. Much better. I don't feel like I'm sick anymore. I don't feel any of those feelings. Of
Okay.
course, I grieve every now and then. That's normal. I wouldn't be normal if I didn't do that.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
every now and then, I get a little sad or whatever, but it's not nothing like it was during that time. And I get sad about my mom. I get sad, but it wasn't anything like it was back then. But my mom's death, make no mistake about it, every year it gets harder.
Okay. And my last question, because you have 3 different phases of loss. You have loss from your mom, you have loss from a husband, and now you have loss from a relationship from your son. For a parent that is estranged or distant from their child, what would you tell that mother or father right now if that child doesn't call them? And we know right now this is the holidays, so it gets rough right now. What can you tell that parent? What is holding you together? What is giving you strength?
Well, what gives me comfort is that my son still talks to my father,
Okay.
and he still talks to my sister. So I contact them to find out how he's doing. But my advice to parents is not to give up, and to still try to reach out to your kids. I send messages through my father and my sister to let him know that I love him. You know,
Yes.
my son knows I love him. He knows. But my advice to parents is to always remain a parent, no matter what your child is going through or
Right.
what they're doing. You always be there for your child. Don't ever let go.
Right.
Even if they've let go, as a parent, you cannot let go.
Well, thank you, Diedre, so much. I'm full of emotions right now, and I thank you for sharing your story, sharing your life with the world. And I do believe that someone that's watching this can relate to what you're feeling, and you have even given them some insight on what they're experiencing. So I thank you for your time and your kindness for sharing your life with the Help Me Heal show. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.